A new pandemic has just been announced by the World Health Organization, and it's probably their way of saying, hey, maybe your government should hand us even more power for this one, huh? Because world leaders across the globe have just committed to their pandemic preparedness plan, aka give unelected leaders the power to control the people.
We may be tempted to think that the COVID-19 pandemic is history. But history teaches us that COVID-19 will not be the last pandemic. The question we all face is whether we will be ready when the next one arrives. As leaders, we have a collective responsibility to make sure we are ready. We have a collective responsibility to protect the people we serve. We have a collective responsibility to protect our societies and economies. The political declaration you just have agreed today is a commitment that together we will live up to our responsibility.
You see what he did there, right? He used the term collective 3 times in like a minute. And this isn't a mistake. He's saying that if and when another pandemic comes, leaders who don't bow down to this plan that they have, because again, they're saying that they have the best plan when it comes to the next one. So leaders who don't bow down to their authority will be liable for what happens. What's going to happen? Well, much like what happened with the whole C-19 virus, obviously people are going to have to suffer. And this isn't some nutty conspiracy theory, all right? There are people in government that are absolutely terrified of this text because, well, it's like a government on top of another government. And this time around, they're going to have unelected leaders dictate what we can or cannot do. Would you guys ever agree to that? Because they're already telling us that the rights that we have, especially the First Amendment, is going to be thrown out the window if they come into power. I'm dead freaking serious, guys. They said this out loud for news cameras to capture. Here's the footage.
The attempted power grab described by Bachmann involves the World Health Organization, or WHO. Through a series of 307 amendments and a global pandemic treaty, the WHO seeks to gain authority over health decisions of UN member nations that could affect the rest of the world in the case of something like another COVID pandemic.
Then they would be empowered to tell us in America, we have to lock down. We have to shut down. We have to close our churches. We have to close our schools. We're mandated to take a vaccine, whether we want to or not. We're forced to mask. We're forced to whatever it is that they tell us that we have to do. We have never before in history, in 5,000 years of recorded human history, we've never seen this level of authority given to an international global body.
Those supporting this authority for the WHO, such as top advisor Dr. Abdullah Asiri, say it's necessary to protect the world's population, even if it means restricting some of their liberties.
The world, however, requires a different level of legal mandates, such as the pandemic treaty, to navigate through a particular pandemic, should one occur, and it will. Prioritizing actions that may restrict individual liberties, mandating and sharing of information, knowledge and resources, and pandemic control efforts are all necessary during a pandemic.
Let us seize this opportunity to foster international collaboration, ensure global health security, and protect the lives and the well-being of all people beyond boundaries.
I mean, do I need to make this any clearer? This treaty, if approved, will give these unelected leaders the power to stomp all over our rights, and it's no longer a question of if it will happen. The question is when it will happen, because some leaders are already reaffirming their commitment to hand over everything to the WHO. Now, before we get any further, do you guys think that this is a good idea? Comment a quick yes or no down in the comment section down below and let me know. And while you guys are down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. This does wonders for the algorithm, especially when I cover sensitive topics like this. We need to get this information out. At the same time, go ahead and subscribe and turn on all notifications, because I've been seeing messages from some of you guys here in the community wondering where some of my videos are, only to find out that they've been unsubscribed for some mysterious reason. So go ahead and do all that so that you guys don't miss out on any future crucial information like this. Appreciate the support, you guys. But getting back to this entire deal, I'd like to ask you guys, do you think that the WHO did a good job with the whole C-19 virus situation? Because I mean, like, if their track record shows that they did a great job, then maybe people should consider putting them in charge. So let's just go ahead and see who's in charge of the WHO when it comes to the science. So it says here that Dr. Jeremy Farrar is the chief scientist. In fact, the guy was given this position late in 2022. Now, who is this Farrar guy? Well, he's only one of the main people involved with creating the paper that our very own Dr. Anthony Fauci cited when he refuted the lab leak theory, a theory that we now know holds even more merit with all of the data that's come out.
So, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me here at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Of course, you're the director of the UK's largest medical research charity and a former member of the UK government's pandemic advisory body. Where are we now in terms of COVID-19?
I think we're in a very uncertain phase at the moment. The most likely scenario is the one most governments are planning for. I would put that, 50 or 60% probability of happening. The problem is that society and politics has moved on and is ignoring the other 5 or 10% possibilities that could happen. And if we ignore them, and in 6 months or a year's time, it turns bad, I think society would never forgive us if we hadn't prepared for that. So I think we're going to be in an uncertain year or two.
Oh, well, of course we want somebody like Farrar to be in charge, right? Sure we do. Not. But even with all of the data that I've shown you guys, all of the examples that I've shown from the actual draft of this paper where it eerily vague as to where our rights begin and where our rights end, the narrative and the message from the World Health Organization is clear. Another pandemic is coming. And it is for this specific reason that we need to hand over power to them, because they're the only ones who can be in charge when this happens. And seriously, guys, they're confirming that another one is coming. They're not even being discreet about it.
We cannot kick this can down the road. If we do not make the changes that must be made, then who will? And if we do not make them now, and when? When the next pandemic comes knocking, and it will, we must be ready to answer decisively, collectively, and equitably. And for enhanced international cooperation, the Pandemic Accord, a generational commitment that we will not go back to the old cycle of panic and neglect that left our world vulnerable, but move forward with a shared commitment to meet shared threats with a shared response.
How should we move from here? Well, that's why I do what I do, guys. I want more people to understand that some conspiracy theories are just so crazy that we need to know about them. And you know what they say? Sometimes the truth is scarier than fiction. And what are your thoughts on this, guys? Should we be worried? Should we be concerned? Is this a message that we need to share to everyone? Or should we just go ahead and trust the WHO, the WHO, that they won't go overboard with the power that they'll be provided if this treaty is approved? Make sure you guys share your thoughts on this one in the comment section down below. And before I go, I want to thank you guys so much for being with me today. Thanks for dropping a like for the videos. Thank you for subscribing. And I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Y'all be safe.